You are a chosen one, a special soul, walking in the light of destiny, part of a divine plan. They are no longer in control. You are the one who directs. The power is in your hands, because you are the one who has been exalted by the will of God. Take the first step to ensure that the will of God does not overtake you by writing 77 in the comments. Like a leaf floating down a river, you have been delivered into God's hands by the flow of life. Every wave moves under His control to carry you to safe shores. Can you realize the real impact of what is happening in your life? Can you perceive the signs of change as the plots against you now become the prisoners of their own plans? A divine power is carefully watching your every test, every scorn, and every attack. An extraordinary situation is developing now. Those who targeted you are facing the consequences of their traps. Divine oversight has never abandoned you. Every insult, attack, and aimless endeavor has been exposed before the divine beings. Those who acted against you thought they could take their fate into their own hands, but their belief was fundamentally wrong. They did not realize it, but the fact that you have been chosen enables you to be guided by a power they cannot even imagine. In trying to bring you down, they actually hastened their own downfall. Their pride led them to believe that they could control their lives, change circumstances, and neutralize you. But the divine power has quietly allowed their actions to mature, waiting for the right moment for justice to be done. And that moment has come. You may not recognize the restlessness in them, but rest assured, it is there. Their belief in themselves is crumbling like the sand dune they are trying to step on. Every attempt they make to thwart you comes back at them with unexpected force. Divine judgment is sure and unrelenting. They are defenseless in this encounter. Your enemies seem to be lost in a spiritual vacuum, feeling that every step they take leads them into a deeper collapse. What they had planned has now become their own trap. Their once sharp tongues are silenced under the weight of their own deceit. Every trap they laid for you now weakens them and draws them into the darkness they created. The fear and confusion they tried to instill in you has now become their new reality. They can neither escape nor understand the cause of this collapse. Their power is rapidly diminishing, slipping away from them at a speed they cannot control. The plans they had meticulously prepared before are now unraveling beyond their control. As they try to stand up and find a solid foundation again, they fall deeper into the traps they have set. Divine intervention is now acting with inescapable force to turn the situation in your favor. God's protective hand is upon you. Your every step is guided by His will. Every attempt to target you comes back at them with even greater force. You are not only witnessing their downfall, you are also experiencing the beginning of a period of your upliftment. You are now walking into a future overflowing with the power of God. Every difficulty is a testimony of His love and protection. Every arrogant plan of theirs is destroyed by the power of His justice. You move confidently towards a future of peace and victory. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Like a mountain peak rising with the first rays of the morning sun. You are moving steadily towards the light in your life. Do you feel the profound impact of the events you are experiencing? Do you perceive the signs of change, as the difficulties you have faced are now falling victim to their own plans? A divine power is observing your every trial, every scorn, and every attack. An extraordinary development is taking place right now. Those who targeted you are facing the consequences of their traps. Divine protection has never left you alone. Every insult, attack, and aimless endeavor has been exposed before the divine beings. Those who acted against you thought that they could take their fate into their own hands, but their belief was fundamentally wrong. What they failed to realize was that your being chosen was being guided by a power far beyond their plans. In trying to bring you down, they are actually hastening their own downfall. Their pride led them to believe that they could control their lives, change their circumstances, or break your power. Like a sycamore tree born in the cool breeze of a morning, your roots are firm and your branches reach skyward. Under God's protective arms, your every step is taken with confidence, and every obstacle is a testimony to His love and power. The malicious endeavors of your enemies are frustrated by your patience and faith, and you grow stronger. Divine intervention is upsetting their plans, and you, under God's guidance, are taking firm steps forward on your path. As their pride and arrogance are shaken by God's justice, you are rising towards a future of peace and victory. The fact that you have been chosen by a divine power leads to their downfall before they realize their own mistakes. You, as a traveler enlightened by the light of God, are ready and determined to overcome every difficulty. Their destructive attempts have no effect against your divine protection and resilience. God's love and grace protect you at all times, and the evil deeds of your enemies become chains of their own destruction. As you move with God's guidance on this holy journey, the actions of your enemies are their own undoing. As they collapse in the face of your resistance and determination, you continue on your way, armed with divine strength. Your every step is guided by God's will, and every obstacle is an opportunity for Him to show His power. While the destruction of your enemies is inevitable, you are moving towards a future of peace and victory. Under God's protection, their endeavors are in vain, while you are being exalted day by day. Thanks to this balance of divine justice, your path is clear and bright, and you watch the downfall of your enemies with peace. With God's support, your every step is shaped in accordance with His will, and you are reaping the fruits of victory. Now, as part of this miraculous journey, it is time to share your story. Your testimony will be a beacon of hope for others and will demonstrate the power of divine justice and the protection that comes with being chosen. As a specially chosen child of God, you are becoming a leader, armed with His grace and power, trusting Him with every step of your life. Because of God's protection, you are able to overcome every difficulty and witness the destruction of your enemies. Under divine guidance and protection, you are always following the path of victory and moving towards a great future reserved for you in this sacred journey shaped by God's will. Like a bright rainbow that appears in the sky after a storm, your life shines with the beauty promised by God at the end of every challenge. As you move with God's guidance on this holy journey, the actions of your enemies are their own undoing. Despite all their efforts, they are unable to withstand your resistance and determination. Endowed with divine power, you continue on your way. Your every step is guided by God's will, and every obstacle becomes an opportunity for Him to display His might. As their destruction becomes an inevitable reality, you are moving towards a future of peace and victory. Under God's protective arms, their plans are frustrated, while you are being exalted day by day. Thanks to the perfect balance of divine justice, your path is clear and bright, and you watch in tranquility the downfall of your enemies. While their pride and arrogance hasten their own end, you are strengthened by divine grace. Every fall of theirs serves for your rise. Every failure of theirs further reinforces your success. This journey is no ordinary journey. It is a sacred mission that God has set for you. You, as a chosen individual carrying the light of God, are called to overcome every difficulty. Their endeavors cannot deter you from your path, for you are protected for a holy purpose. As the traps of your enemies lose their meaning in the eyes of God, you are walking towards victory with His guidance. Every step you take in this process is an expression of gratitude and trust. While your enemies watch their plans fail, you are on the path God has opened for you. You keep moving forward. Every obstacle becomes a greater opportunity for you. Seeing your enemies being dragged step by step towards their own destruction makes you realize how perfect and inevitable God's justice is. For them, this collapse is the end, but for you, it is the harbinger of new beginnings. For every downfall, every failure is an opportunity for God to place you in a higher position. Surrounded by God's protective hands, this journey becomes a story that will shed light not only on your salvation, but also on the salvation of others. This story will show how great is the power of faith in God's will and surrender to His protection. While every effort of your enemies is in vain, you are being strengthened by divine power. The fact that they are lost in their own traps is a sign of how perfectly God's plan is working. Your holy journey is a source of inspiration, not only for you, but for everyone around you. Now is the time to share this story. Telling others about God's work in you will be an opportunity to show them the power of divine justice. Your testimony will be a beacon of hope for those who remain in darkness, helping them to move boldly on their own path. As God's chosen child, you are surrounded by His love at every step and armed with His power in every difficulty. Every step you take is a reminder of God's love for you and that He has already secured victory. Now is the time to celebrate this victory, to move step by step towards the great future He has prepared to lift you up. Your journey is a sign to others, to show them how powerful divine love and protection are. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the transient concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this act will come back to you 100-fold in abundance. But the divine power has been quietly letting their actions take their course, waiting for the right time for justice to be done. And now that moment has arrived. You may not recognize the restlessness in them, but rest assured it is there. Their self-belief is crumbling like sand dunes before the waves. Every attempt they made to thwart you is now coming back to them with unexpected force. Divine judgment is heavy and merciless, and they are defenseless against it. Your enemies seem to be lost in a spiritual wilderness, feeling that every step they take leads them to a deeper collapse. They are confused, disorientated, and their once sharp tongues are silenced by the weight of their own deceit. The tools they used against you are now weakening them, drawing them into the consequences of their own making. The darkness into which they are trying to draw them has become their own reality. They cannot escape it, nor can they understand it. Their power is diminishing, slipping away from them in a way they cannot control. The plans they had carefully prepared before are now falling apart in a way they cannot control. As they try to put their feet on solid foundations again, they fall deeper and deeper into the traps they have set. Divine intervention comes swiftly and displays unstoppable power to turn the situation in their favor. Like a flower blooming with the first rays of the sun one morning, you are preparing to bloom beauty in your life. As a chosen one, every challenge you face becomes a trigger that exposes the inner imbalances of your enemies. You are surrounded by a divine shield, a barrier impenetrable by any force. Under the watchful eye of a higher power, your every obstacle and every attack is carefully monitored. Those who oppose you, realizing that your presence is increasing their restlessness, are trying to interfere in various areas of your life. However, thanks to your determination and resistance, these attempts come to naught and their plans come to naught. While their pride reveals their weaknesses, when the time of justice comes, everything they do turns to their own detriment. As your enemies are shaken by your patience and fortitude, their power gradually diminishes, and their actions bring about their own calamity. Divine intervention frustrates their intentions, and you continue on your way confidently with your firm stance. Their malicious endeavors fall short in the face of God's will, and you grow stronger and stronger, overcoming every obstacle. Like the morning mist rising from a dark valley, God's light clarifies everything and carries you forward. Every difficulty that surrounds you is rendered meaningless by God's protective hands, and you are guided by His guidance. God's protective hands lift you above the chaos around you. Every difficulty becomes an opportunity for you, while the efforts of your enemies hasten their own destruction. In trying to harm you, they expose their own weaknesses. In accordance with a divine plan, their every move is frustrated. You, as God's chosen one, are destroying their plans, while at the same time, you are rising higher on your own path. This process is not only a struggle, but also a period of learning and rising. Every difficulty becomes a test that opens new doors for you. The confusion of your enemies cannot be an obstacle to your peace and success, because God has prepared everything for you in advance. While the light of divine justice illuminates their dark intentions, you are getting stronger at every step and being equipped with divine grace. While their plans are becoming a wasted endeavor, for you it is a reminder once again of how powerful God's support is for you. This journey is an example of hope, not only for you, but also for others. As you follow God's guidance, your every step becomes an expression of gratitude and trust. In the process, the foundations are being laid for a great future that is being prepared for you, a reality in which the efforts of your enemies are meaningless. Under God's protection, every obstacle is the beginning of a new victory. Now is the time to tell others about your holy journey. Your testimony will inspire others and show them the power of divine justice and God's love for His chosen children. This journey is an opportunity not only for you to ascend, but also for you to be a light to others. God's plan for you shows His love and power in every difficulty. It is time to walk under His guidance towards a brighter future. Like the morning sun, new hopes and opportunities are dawning in your life. As you move with God's guidance on this holy journey, every action of your enemies is their own undoing. As they collapse in the face of your unshakable resistance and determination, you, armed with divine strength, continue on your way with firm steps. Your every step is guided by God's will, and every obstacle becomes an opportunity to demonstrate His might. While the destruction of your enemies is inevitable, you are moving towards a future of peace and victory. Under God's protection, their endeavors are in vain, while you are being exalted day by day. Thanks to this balance of divine justice, your path is clear and bright, and you watch the downfall of your enemies with peace. With God's support, your every step is shaped in accordance with His will, and you reap the fruits of victory. Every effort they have made in your favor is now coming back upon them, and they are helpless before your power. Now, as part of your miraculous journey, it is time to share your story. Your testimony will be a beacon of hope for others and will demonstrate the power of divine justice and the protection that comes with being chosen. As a specially chosen child of God, you are becoming a leader, armed with His grace and power, trusting Him with every step of your life. Because of God's protection, you are able to overcome every difficulty and witness the destruction of your enemies. Under divine guidance and protection, you are always following the path of victory and moving towards a great future reserved for you on this sacred journey shaped by God's will. As a chosen one, you are not only protected, but also exalted. Everything that used to be over you has lost its meaning. Control has slipped from their grasp. Their confusion has become clear evidence of their downfall. As they move forward with invisible protection, their defeat has become an inevitable reality. Their efforts to harm you have only triggered their own destruction. Your worth is protected by a divine power beyond their understanding. While they struggle with their inner uncertainties, your path is one of peace and victory. Your enemies are now trapped, their minds lost in the confusion of their own making. They wander aimlessly, searching for you in places you abandoned long ago. With eyes stuck in the past, they are desperately trying to find you in places where you no longer exist, while you are hidden in an inaccessible spot under sacred protection. Their bewilderment is not accidental. It is a direct result of divine justice. Their once sharp minds are now unsteady and weakened under the weight of divine judgment. They cannot understand how they have fallen from the position of the aggressor to that of the defeated. At every step, they lose their bearings, as if traveling through a dense fog, unable to discern the purpose and reason for their actions. You are no longer subject to the restrictions they try to impose. Their power is being broken, while the divine power is exalting you. Spiritually lost, they wander in a desert of their own making. Their every movement leads them into a deeper void, towards the battlefield once prepared for you. Consumed by their own weapons, they are unable to understand the consequences of their actions under the heavy and inevitable impact of divine judgment. While their confusion continues, you remain above it all, unreachable and untouchable. In their pursuit of pride and revenge, they fail to lead them anywhere. Mentally trapped in a cycle of their own mistakes, the more they try to escape, the tighter the traps become. You are not lost, Their spiritual blindness pushes them into an endless cycle of failure. As a powerful and chosen being, you are rising above the negativity around you. All that was once upon you has lost its meaning, and events beyond your control are revealing your enemies' own weaknesses. Their endeavors are leading to their own destruction as you move forward under secret protection. Your worth is protected by a divine power beyond their understanding. While they are drowning in their inner turmoil, you continue on your way in peace and success. Your enemies, lost in the chaos of their own creation, wander aimlessly and continue their search for you in places they can no longer reach. Lost in the shadows of the past, these figures are hidden by the sacred power that protects your existence. Their bewilderment is a reflection of divine justice, and their once powerful minds are now weakened. While your enemies, disorientated at every step, are hidden from your reach under sacred protection, they are enslaved by their own mistakes, spiritually mired and wandering in a desert of their own making. These enemies are being dragged into a deeper impasse with their every move. Divine judgment aggravates the consequences of their actions, while you remain untouchable and unreachable. Their pride and their quest for revenge never lead them to their goals, and they become prisoners of their own failures, lost in a mental loop. You, as a shining light in their spiritual blindness, remain outside the endless cycle of failure. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking on the Super Thank You button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord guide your path. The fact that you are a chosen individual gives you divine glory beyond the difficulties you face. Every evil done against you now causes tremors in their own lives. The fact that you are set apart by divine guidance causes your enemies to pay for their own actions. Their efforts to hurt you actually deepen their own inner imbalances and illnesses. Under God's protective shield, their pride is crushed, and they are forced to face their mistakes. Praying for you supports their spiritual realization, while their suffering is the result of their own choices. Your enemies lose their bearings in the face of God's divine order and continue their obsessive search in darkness. While you, with divine guidance, continue on your way with confident steps, their disappearance becomes a reflection of their own mistakes. Thanks to divine intervention, your enemies' troubles are a natural consequence of their own decisions, while your path leads towards a future full of peace and light. As someone who has set out for a chosen purpose, you have the power to overcome the negativity around you. Their every move tends to backfire, while the difficulties you face actually reveal their own mistakes. You are constantly being watched by a divine force, and under this surveillance, every intention of your enemies is recorded. They may think that their good deeds will be forgotten, but the memory of divine justice is infinite and absolute. The reckoning that is creeping into their lives is much harsher and more ruthless than they expected. The mistakes of the past are now weighing heavily on them, and God's timing is perfect. The more they resist, the more they are crushed under the weight of judgment, and the more their defenses fail. Through God's protective power, their evil deeds are backfiring, and you continue on your way with confidence. Their stubborn hearts are broken in the face of divine mercy and become captives of their own suffering. As a result, the certainty of judgment is deeply ingrained in their lives. Divine intervention frustrates their plans, while you consolidate your victory. They are no longer able to cope with the power of your presence and divine protection. They are experiencing their own destruction. Thanks to this balance provided by divine justice, your path is clear, and you are moving towards a bright future, peacefully watching the downfall of your enemies. With God's support, your every step is guided according to His will, and you reap the sweet fruit of victory.